Have you been wanting to do a short or medium-term rental on Airbnb or VRBO or one of the other many sites that you can do medium-term rentals, but furnishings have been holding you back? Or maybe you've been kind of renting for a while and you're getting a little tripped up with respect to the fact that there's so many stores to do all your shopping from, and you don't exactly know all the different things that you have to get and where you have to go. Well, in this video today, I'm going to cover a lot of details related to furnishing your short and or your medium-term rental. How's it going, everybody? My name is John. I do videos on this, and I've been covering I kind of have a series here that I'm doing for short, medium-term rentals. I've been doing them actually pretty much in multiple capacities for a long time, actually since approximately 2005. So it's been a very long time. But in my case, in each of the scenarios where I started doing rentals, I basically had lived in the property, I had furnished it, and then I moved out. In one case, I moved out because I was turning it into just a vacation property. I didn't realize I'd be renting it so much. And then the other was, for basically I moved out, fully moved out for the spirit of renting it. In the case of the first one, the furnishings weren't terrible, but they were, certainly not that great. At the same time, I still was able to generate revenue from it rather consistently. But if you are confused or feeling overwhelmed about furnishings, don't worry, you're not alone. I mean, even myself, just thinking about all the furnishings that I continually have to do, it actually feels overwhelming. And, I've done it for many years. But right now, here we are. It is the first half of 2024. Technically, we're in the month of June, at the time of this recording. And it's an interesting time because, I'm here in Southern California, and I take a look at the way things were, and it was basically for my one rental that I do a lot of short-term rentals on. It was almost like Christmas every day, right? From, let's say, right before the pandemic, maybe 2019, all the way through really at some point in 2023. And then I feel like I noticed a slowdown in, let's say, the fall, of 2023. But basically what is happening is there is a lot of inventory. So I'm not really 100% sure exactly when that happened, but let's say I'd say it's fair to assume that at some point during 2020 and 2021, there's a lot more people that came into doing Airbnb and short-term rentals, and something called rental arbitrage became popular, which is really just going out and renting a place, speaking with a landlord and having them agree to rent it to you, and then re-renting it out on Airbnb, and that's gotten popular over the last few years. But basically, the reality is that the amount of inventory that exists out there on Airbnb, and even VRBO for that matter, but it seems fair to acknowledge and to say VRBO has lost a lot of market share to Airbnb. So as we take that into consideration, I mean, the reality is that you can't just get by furnishing the basics anymore, right? Obviously, the basics are crucial. When you're going to do a furnished rental, you have to have the basics, but you also have to kind of really think about your space and think about ways that you can kind of make your space special and cater to guests, because the reality is that there is a lot of competitive inventory out there. So what's interesting about furnishings is that I believe that furnishings are really the single most, there's going to be two really important decisions you make with respect to your rental right away. Number one, it's going to be hiring a professional photographer. And then number two, it's going to be, the furniture and then also the furnishings that you get. So basically what I mean by this is these are two important decisions that are within your control, right? Obviously, you're going to be renting something out, so you don't really have any control over the property size, the surrounding area, the amenities. I mean, you can actually add amenities, of course. You can add a hot tub, you can add a pool table, but you don't have as much control, right? With things like the property size and all these things. The furnishings are going to be very important, where you're actually going to have control. So I think it goes without saying that obviously having, furniture which is as nice as you can get it to be, as nice as you can make it, is, going to make your guests feel super comfortable. I don't know if you've ever stayed in an Airbnb or stayed in a VRBO or even a medium term rental. And, you stay there and it's like, things were bad, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking like bad, like noticeably bad. Like, for example, I remember I went to Lake Tahoe years ago and we stayed at a place, which is a great location near the lake. And it was like, oh my God, it was just terrible. Like everything. I mean, the kitchen was so old, like decades old, and they just refused to do anything, even not even get nicer, cabinet handles. And then also like all of the beds, the linens for the beds were really bad and very clearly decades old, almost concerned that they didn't even launder them, right? So you have these experiences and they stay with you, like, these terrible beds or bad linens or awful silverware, and then also maybe even a terrible lumpy couch, right? But on the flip side of that, you can have good experiences where the furnishings are wonderful and they just create this, wonderful feeling and create a great experience for you. And that's what you want to do. You want to try to, figure out what it is that you like. And I know that it can be overwhelming considering everything that you have to do, but you want to try to figure out, what your style is going to be, and then, find a way to afford the stuff. So this brings us to budget. So I imagine that it might be a little kind of, scary or overwhelming to think about the budget and how you're going to, afford all this. And in my case, like I said, I mean, at least in the initial rentals that I did, the first few, actually I had lived there. And then when I moved out, I had already furnished it. So I didn't really have to, let's say, cram hard to actually go and buy all this furniture. But even if you do live there and then you're moving out, and when you do your first rental, your first few rentals, really your first rental, I mean, it's definitely tough. I mean, there's going to be a lot that has to go on to get ready, for that first rental, even if you have all the furniture. But if we think about budgeting, we can maybe think about it from a very basic perspective, and we can look at it like a cost per square footage. So what we can do is, if you're starting from scratch and you're doing this now, you can actually look at it like a $10 to $15 per square foot. So for example, if you are going to be getting a house, you're going to be, you own a house, or you're going to be renting out this house and it's 2,000 square feet, $10 to $15 a square foot, that's going to be about a budget of $20,000 to $30,000 for everything. Now, if you're on a super tight budget, you can also use the figures of, $7 to $10 a square foot. But even there, you're going to have to, it's going to be, wise and prudent to really figure out what exactly it is that you need to skimp on with respect to the budget, because there's going to be some main pieces. And especially when it comes to, you're going to pick an area of your space, right? That's going to be a little bit more of a focal point, because again, what's going to be really important is that you're getting really good photos when you hire the professional photographer. Like, for example, let's just say a place that everyone's going to spend the most time and gather is the family room, and the family room or the living area is actually right there adjacent to the kitchen. In one of my places, that's the case. It's a very open kitchen. It's a very open kitchen, dining room, and family area, and those are really the main pictures. And that's, outside of what is an incredible view, that's also one of the things that sells the place. So in that example, you're going to want to focus on maybe not skimping on the budget, or likely not skipping on the budget when it comes to the furniture pieces and the main pieces, like the couch and the entertainment center and the credenza or the chair or any of the side tables and the lamps, for that main living space. So as I first got started, I was fortunate in a way, because I did purchase a lot of stuff initially from World Market. And World Market actually is pretty quality. Like, I look at, a lot of these things, these furniture that I purchased from World Market. I mean, this is like 20 years ago. And the interior stuff, the stuff from World Market on the inside has really held up, right? So I've got, a dining room table that is basically really pretty nice and strong after 2 decades, so like 20 years of use, right? And then there's a lot of other knickknacks from World Market that you can get. And then certainly there was a couch that has lasted a very long time from World Market as well. And I will say that I did also buy a lot of outdoor furniture from World Market. That didn't last quite as long. That doesn't mean that the outdoor furniture at World Market's not as good. It's still, I would say, acceptable. But what I found interesting is I did buy some outdoor furniture from Costco, and that held up. That was actually noticeably more expensive than the outdoor furniture from World Market, but it has held up tremendously well in comparison with the World Market outdoor furniture. But what's going to happen is, you might be in a situation where if you are, very concerned with budget, and I would imagine that pretty much everybody is. I mean, at some point, everybody's going to be limited with respect to cash or credit, right? There's going to be a tendency to just kind of really look to just, let's say IKEA and Target. I did purchase some stuff from IKEA initially. And what I'll say is I kind of learned my lesson with respect to furniture from IKEA. I mean, I still do get certain things from IKEA. I found that, items for the kitchen, like, spatulas and different kitchen utensils are fine from IKEA. And then also I've gotten some rugs from IKEA that have held up. And then also, really things like things for the closet have held up from IKEA. So while there may be this tendency to, get a lot of, furnishings from IKEA and Target, if you actually look at your base, your core of, let's say, your couches, your beds, your end tables, your bedside tables, your entertainment center, your credenzas, your dressers, the core of your furniture, it probably is going to be wise to not get those from, let's say, IKEA. Now, I know for me, I have the mindset that I want to figure out what it is that I like and find a way to get it. So having said that, I have purchased a lot of used furniture from Craigslist over the years. Not so much Craigslist anymore, because I found that I don't really see as much stuff on Craigslist. I see a lot more stuff on Facebook Marketplace. In fact, I mean, it's almost overwhelming the amount of furniture that you can get on Facebook Marketplace. So I guess that's within the last year, right, that I've seen a lot more furniture available on Facebook Marketplace. But for years, I did buy stuff from Craigslist, and I actually loved the store Z Gallery for a while. Z Gallery has certainly changed their styles over the years, but for a really long time, I got a lot of furniture from Z Gallery. So I'd always go and look on Craigslist, and I would buy the stuff used because I knew that if I was getting it from Z Gallery, it was really, really well made, or let's say Pottery Barn or West Elm, it was very, very well made. And I would much rather get a used piece of furniture that's well made, than get, furniture that's not that good from something like IKEA. And again, I don't want to knock a Target for furniture. I don't actively purchase furniture from Target, but in general, when you buy cheap furniture, I have purchased some furniture from Walmart, and it just it's kind of complicated to put together, and it just hasn't really held up, right? So I would always much prefer to get that furniture from some of the from some of the top stores, and even if I have to go get that and get it used or secondhand, I'll do that. So in my places, you'll see a lot of furniture from Z Gallery, World Market, and West Elm. I would also say you could check out Restoration Hardware, but Restoration Hardware is so out of control expensive that I don't think it's even remotely feasible to include that, because at this day and age, I mean, if you're going to be getting into new property, real estate prices are so high that, it's just not really going to be feasible to be acquiring furniture from Restoration Hardware. Actually, I just picked up a couple weeks ago, I picked up a whiskey barrel. It's just the same size as like a wine barrel, because one of my places is kind of out there near Southern California wine country, and I've been kind of meaning to spice it up a little bit with some wine barrels. But I got a whiskey barrel, and oddly enough, I was able to get it from a distillery for $50. So I was kind of surprised, because a lot of times I can see those for quite a lot more, online on Amazon and other stores. Okay, so as we go down, from importance, and you have your core pieces, which are going to be, like we mentioned, couches, coffee tables, side tables, beds, dressers, bedside tables, desks, dining tables, bar stools, that sort of thing. As we go down in importance, we talk about things like basically sheets and curtains and duvets and duvet covers. What I found is that's a little bit more, maybe not necessarily quilts or duvet covers, but when it comes to sheets and pillowcases, those are the kind of thing where, you're pretty much going to be getting, new sheets every maybe year and a half. I don't really necessarily have like an opinion poll of a lot of different hosts, but in general, I mean, that stuff gets kind of worn out, right? So I'd say, once every year is certainly acceptable, but realistically, once every, year and a half, maybe, 1 to 2 years, you're going to be replacing sheets. But that's the kind of thing that's really kind of ongoing maintenance. And, for me, if it turns out that there is a Walmart near some of the places, so I will go to Walmart to get some things. Again, certainly I wouldn't buy furniture from Walmart, but in terms of trying to find some quilts at Walmart or some nice pillowcases or some nice pillows, I will do that. But if they just aren't quite nice enough, I'll also go to Target for the quilts. And what I found is that quilts, in Southern California, it doesn't really it gets cold, but not really, incredibly cold compared to other parts of the country. So I found that quilts are a much better item for the bed as opposed to a thick comforter, because they're a lot easy to put in the washing machine. Home Goods is also a store that's good to go to for some of these. Really, actually, some of the furniture I found is pretty good at Home Goods. I wouldn't say it's necessarily inexpensive, but it's a good place to go for that. I've gotten a lot of sheets and quilts, probably most of my quilts from Home Goods. And then Home Goods has a pretty noticeably substantial collection of art that is also reasonably priced. Okay, so let's talk about chairs. So chairs are going to be important to talk about because chairs are, at least we're talking a lot of years here. I mean, chairs break. So if there's anything that's going to break a lot, it's going to be chairs. Having said that, I don't want to be presumptuous, but at the same time, you never know how much people drink alcohol, so that might be a factor in actually ruining chairs. Or, sometimes, the weight of guests could be, on the extreme side, and that might be a factor as well. And you combine the two. All I can say is I've had a lot of experiences with chairs breaking. So if you don't mind buying a new chair every time something goes wrong with the chair, then that's fine. However, for me, I'm not really interested in buying new chairs every time something goes wrong. I would much rather fix them. And if you have, dining chairs or chairs that can go from the dining room to the outside, or, in general, dining chairs is probably pretty important, because if you're going to be hosting big groups, quite often you're going to need a lot of dining chairs, right? But if they're made of wood, you can always fix those chairs. And the way that I've fixed those chairs over the years is really with, metal L brackets. And you could do that really, if you think about it, on each leg. So each leg, you can have 2 L brackets, if you so need, and it provides, total structure for that. Having said that, one thing I found is that even if like you buy dining chairs and you want to get dining chairs and you want to have them like without a cover, like just as you purchase them, just with whatever upholstery they have, whether it's leather or upholstery, it's going to get dirty. And unless it's leather. I mean, obviously leather probably is not going to get dirty in the same way, but any sort of upholstery, it's going to get dirty like right away. So what I've done and what I've found very useful and helpful is covers, right? So I actually get dining chair covers, and they look really nice, and they're not expensive. In fact, what I'll do is I'll show you these covers, on my computer here. So this is the dining chair cover. I actually had other covers before this one, and the other covers came down to just really below the seat. But what I found is that this particular dining chair cover looks very good, and it goes down to floor level. And then one thing for me is like, some of my chairs, I've kind of, have, other spare chairs, right? But there's chairs where I don't like the color of the paint on the legs. So instead of repainting them, which obviously I don't care to spend the time doing that, I would rather, get an attractive dining chair cover like this. And the thing that's really nice about this dining chair cover is that you can just take it off. It's super easy to take off. And you just, throw it in the washing machine and put it back on, and it washes up great. And you can literally do that in between every reservation, right? The next cover is actually, this is a pillow cover. So these, and what I could do is provide the links on Amazon to these. But, when it comes to the family room and the couches, I found that it's pretty smart to get covers for a lot of reasons, mainly for really health and safety, right? everybody's going to show up and they're going to expect that your place is going to be super clean, right? So with these covers, you could just unzip them and throw them in the wash and put them back on. Even in my case, I had these I have them still, these two beautiful Z Gallery couches. And with these Z Gallery couches that I have, this is not my couch. This is just an image from Amazon. The very strong denim white covers, they just wore out. I was restitching them for years, and then I just finally got to a point where I had to get covers. And ultimately, covers is a better choice because, you could do the whole thing where you get like a cover over the whole couch, but in my feeling is that just doesn't look as nice. I would rather have, a more form-fitting cover for the pillow and then a form-fitting cover for the actual seat cushion for the couch, right? So I've done that as well. So if you take a look, these are the seat cushion covers I got from Amazon. I got like a super light color, but here you go. So as you can see, I had to get this particular seat cushion cover because these couches that I have are Z Gallery. So they have these very strange dimensions, extremely large seat cushions. And there's it's searching and searching, and I finally found this one group that actually had seat cushion covers that actually would work. And it's this one, Mamma Mia Covers, Paletto by GAICO, couch cushion cover. But they've held up really well. They look super nice, and we literally just wash them each time. Now, what I will say is because it's such a tight fitting, and it was the only size that I could find work, because with those Z Gallery couches, what happened is each cushion only had one stick out T, right? So instead of in this picture, having a T, it was more like really just one little corner that stuck out. But because of that, regular seat cushion covers wouldn't fit it. So I finally found these particular sizes, and they fit because it's a very deep seat cushion with with the Z Gallery couches. So pretty simple. I would much rather get a couch cover as opposed to buying new chairs every time something goes wrong with one of the legs. So another item that's going to be interesting is plants, right? So if you're going to be doing a short-term, obviously even any rental, right? Short and medium-term rental, it is not really going to be very wise to have plants. If you go buy plants, the reality is if you buy nice fake plants, they're more than likely going to cost quite a bit more than regular plants. But at the same time, it's almost like, what's the point if you buy plants and you can't water them, or you forget to water them, or you don't have somebody watering them, and they die, you're going to have to now dispose of that plant, and that's going to be an annoyance, and that's going to be its own time cost for you, right? But basically, it goes without saying that if you're going to have plants, that you should be having fake plants, basically, for your place. All right, so basically, after these main pieces and some of the kind of secondary stuff, we're going to actually have art. So, if you don't already have art, you're going to have to buy some of that art. Now, what you can do is if you want, you could be super cheap and go to Ross, but there are a lot of places where you can go and get art. Like I had mentioned, Home Goods is a store that has rather economical artwork. And art decorations. In some cases, it's already framed, and in some cases, it's not. And then World Market as well has got really quite a bit of artwork as well, for your rental. Something that I've done is I actually used to get it from posters.com. It's now called All Posters. And what I'll do is I'll give you an example here of some artwork, that I purchased, for various places. So with posters.com, what I'll say is it's really important to make sure that you get something that's bigger than the 12 by 18, because the 12 by 18 is actually really pretty small, and you're going to want to, have nice art, or at least some art on your walls that, fills in some of the space, right? And so the other two sizes on posters.com is 16 by 24 and then 24 by 36. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more, but even in the case of this Doheny State Beach picture that I'm showing you right here, it's only $24, for the 16 by 24. And then $19 for the 12 by 18. So it's only $5 difference. And And that's a big difference in terms of, looking at that artwork on the 12 by 18 versus the 16 by 24. So in these cases, I will usually go and get the frames from Michaels. You can also go get frames from Target. Target's got plenty of frames. They're very, very, very generic. And then also, Home Goods does have frames as well. What I found though is that Michaels is maybe a little bit better because what's going to happen is his artwork is all going to be unique, right? So it's more likely than not that you're going to need to get unique measurements for the frames. So in that case, Michaels is a little bit of a better bet for that. And, artwork is one of those things that it's where you're kind of, your taste can come alive. So you can choose things like I, love water and, waves and beach and lake and stuff like that. So it's really an opportunity for kind of, for you to be an artist, right? And make your place come alive because some people are just going to be limited with respect to cash and credit, and they're not going to be able to, really spend a lot on art. And as you can imagine, I mean, some art, the ranges for art are overwhelming, and some of it can be very expensive. So then we're also going to come down to some other essentials. So some other essentials are going to be where you can get towels for your place. So you're going to have, now also it depends on if you have a pool or not, right? So if you do have a pool and a hot tub, you're going to want to have pool towels, and you're going to want to have, more like bath towels, right? So you can go get hotel grade towels from Costco. Now personally, I don't get a lot of stuff from Costco. I have found that the outdoor furniture is definitely very high quality from Costco, which is what I've experienced. And in any, time I've purchased, stuff from Costco, like even one of the outdoor furniture pieces I purchased, it actually broke, and they, returned it like that. So it is my understanding that Costco's got a very generous, return policy where you can just return it at any time, right? You could get hotel grade towels from Costco. I personally will typically upgrade my towels. Really just go to Target for that, right? I can also go to Walmart. I have found that stuff is typically, some of the nicer stuff at Target is usually noticeably nicer than some of the nicer stuff at Walmart. But when you're talking about towels and washcloths, I mean, I think that it's fine to have those from more of the basic stores. When it comes to the kitchen obviously is going to be, really important. I mean, the reality is that, maybe you're doing like one bedroom and studio rentals. I don't really know, but I do typically more bigger places because you can make more money from a bigger place, right? But in each scenario, the kitchens are usually pretty big. So with the kitchens that are usually pretty big, I mean, you're gonna have to have a lot of kitchen utensils, right? So we're talking like lots of drawers of spatulas and measuring cups and different utensils for mixing bowls and serving salads and serving food, pots and pans, and then, glass casserole dishes, and then also plateware, right? Plateware is obviously going to be, very important. You got to have enough, plateware for everyone. Plateware is actually, you can get plateware from pretty much all these stores that I've listed, including, Target, and Walmart. However, I have found that the plateware from World Market is actually pretty good as well, and reasonably priced. But it's also, more likely than not that you're going to have a barbecue at your rental, and in that case, you're going to need to have some barbecue tools and barbecue utensils, somewhere in the kitchen, and then also, a coffee maker. It's, I would imagine, pretty nice for folks to have a nice coffee maker to use, and then also in some cases they might like to have a K-cup, a Keurig machine, right? I have seen some scenarios where people have like a really nice K-cup shelf, and then all the different K-cups in the event that like a traveler gets there late at night, and that's going to happen a lot, where the traveler checks in later at night and then they wake up and there's no coffee that they purchased for themselves, in the morning. So if you can have like a nice little K-cup shelf with a bunch of K-cups there, so that way on their first day they can use that as coffee, it might be tremendously valuable for some of the guests. And then you're going to have some of the super, super basic essentials, right? And this is going to be stuff that you probably, order or have someone purchase for you at each reservation turnover. And what that's going to be is that's going to be the basics of things like toilet paper, paper towels, laundry detergent, dishwashing detergent, trash bags, and then hand soaps. And in this day and age, here we are again. That's the first half of 2024, and Airbnb has kind of for a couple of years required you to have shampoo, and body wash for people, and then VRBO does as well. So you're going to, in addition to all those items, you're going to want to have also shampoo, and body wash for people for the showers. Now, some of you might have a pool or a hot tub. It really is up in the air if people want to get stuff for the pool. I used to supply pool stuff, but I mean, the reality is what I found is if I have a group coming in and they're kind of, paying a nice reservation fee, I'll kind of ask them beforehand if they have any sort of preference, on any sort of pool items. And then you can get Walmart at least has been kind of a good choice for that because they typically have a large inventory of stuff. You can also go to kind of specialty pool stores for that, but that's typically quite a bit more expensive. And then you can order lights and not pool lights themselves, but lights that can kind of float around in the pool from Amazon. What I found though is it does require a lot of focus to make sure that your pool is in good shape. So you have to have, a pool. What I've always had is a pool service person and then a pool equipment person, because a lot of times the pool service person, even though they like to be able to fix the equipment, they can't always fix the equipment. So it's good to have both of those going. And then, it's good to have some backups too, because sometimes the pool guys can get a little grumpy because they have a lot of different pools on their route, sometimes hundreds of accounts. So in conclusion, furnishing can feel overwhelming. I know I still feel overwhelmed with it. But it, is obviously very important. It's a great opportunity for you to, to be your own artist and to, design your own space so that you have a lot more than the basics and you can stand out from what is, immensely, crowded inventory, on Airbnb and VRBO. And remember to dress every little area that you can and get that professional photographer in there, right? Even something as little as a nice little touch or a nice little fake plant in the bathroom, can go a long way. Or a nice little stool with a, fancy washcloth or towel in the bathroom can go a long way. Take every opportunity to make every little space really nice for those professional photos. And also remember, when it comes to taking those photos, your professional photographer is mostly going to know, but you want it to be taking photos when it's very, very bright. I've certainly made the mistake of taking photos sometimes at night, even though the lights are all turned on. But you want it to be as bright as possible when you take your photos. Even if you do take some photos at night, because sometimes you have to, because a lot of times it's just not really clean or ready until the evening. You always want to have some day photos in there as well. Take a lot of photos. Because, a lot of times you really can only find, one good photo in a set of a lot of them. But make sure it's super bright outside and also make sure you turn all the lights on inside when you take your photos so you can get the best photos. Now, the professional photographer more than likely is going to know this, but you also might want to bring your camera alongside. In fact, that's what I've done is when a professional photographer takes the photos, I'll bring my own camera and take pictures alongside of them in case there's any sort of issue with them being able to put them on one site and not for another, because part of their fee goes to Airbnb and not VRBO or something like that. And also, even if you are just starting and you're just launching your rental, it is very wise to get covers. And again, you can just go ahead and you can email me with any questions for items related to rentals. You can email me at socalrentalguy@gmail, and I can give you the links. I'll put some of the links, where to purchase these covers for the dining chairs, and then also the pillow covers, and then also the couch covers, so that you can reference those. Thank you very much. I really hope that you have found some of this information or all this information helpful. If you did, go ahead and furnish me with a like. That would be great. And then also, if you like videos like this, I actually do a lot of videos on investing, on rentals, on generating income online, and also some on investing in financial independence. You can go ahead and subscribe to this channel and check out some of my other content. Okay, thanks a lot.